everybody. Today we're going to be doing another chapter out of Genesis in my chapter by chapter through the Bible. I've hit another little milestone the other day. I've finally gotten up to 20 views so far on this series that I've gotten. Well, let's hope I get more. Another thing, I'll let you know when I get to 30, and hopefully soon I'll start to get some comments. Feedback is one thing I would like to hear. So we'll start off with chapter 11, Genesis. Now the whole earth had one language and one speech, and it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. They said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They had bricks for stone, and they had asphalt for mortar. And they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth." But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. And the Lord said, "Indeed the people are one, and all have one language. And this is what they begin to do. Now nothing that they propose to do will be withheld from them. Come, let us go down and there confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech." So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of all the earth, and they ceased building the city. Therefore the name of the city is called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of all the earth, and from there the Lord scattered them abroad the face of the earth. This is the genealogy of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begot Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. After he begot Arphaxad, Shem lived 500 years and begot sons and daughters. Arphaxad lived 35 years and begot Shelah. After he begot Shelah, Arphaxad lived 403 years and begot sons and daughters. Shelah lived 30 years and begot Eber. After he begot Eber, Selah lived 403 years and begot sons and daughters. Eber lived 34 years and begot Peleg. After he begot Peleg, Eber lived 430 years and begot sons and daughters. Peleg lived 30 years and begot Rehu. After he begot Rehu, Peleg lived 209 years and begot sons and daughters. Rehu lived 32 years and begot Shereg. After he begot Shereg, Rehu lived 207 years and begot sons and daughters. Sherug lived 30 years and begot Nahor. After he begot Nahor, Sherug lived 200 years and begot sons and daughters. Nahor lived 39 years and begot Terah. After he begot Terah, Nahor lived 119 years and begot sons and daughters. Now Terah lived 70 years and begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. This is the genealogy of Terah. Terah begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Haran begot Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah into his native land in Ur of the Chaldeans. Then Abram's and Nahor took wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife Milcah. The daughters of Haran, and the fathers of Milcah, and the fathers of Ishkar. But Sarah was barren, and she had no children. And Terah took his son Abram and his grandson Lot, the son of Haran, and his grandson and his daughter-in-law Sarai, his son Abram's wife, and they went out with them from Ur to the Chaldeans to go into the land of Canaan. and they came to Haran and dwelt there. So the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. And now here we're starting off with the Tower of Babel. Now you can see here in verse 1, the whole earth had one language and one speech, and something else in here. They decided in their areas that they wanted to build, a one government. They wanted to build a city there. These people who built Babel, they wanted to rival God. They wanted to build a city whose tower reached up to heaven. Like in verse 4 it says, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth." Now at this time, everybody was together. God wanted people separated. Not because he didn't want us to be in company, but he didn't want, one man having influence over the whole world. At the time, a one world government. And from the last chapter, Nimrod was the first leader of everyone. And we saw what became of him, how he was defiant against God. But the Lord, in verse 6, and the Lord said, "Indeed the people are one, and they all have one language, and this is why they begin to do. Now nothing that they propose to do is withheld from them. Let us go down and there and confuse their language, and they may not understand one another's speech." So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of the earth, and they ceased building the city. Like in verse 8, it says here, after they were scattered, they stopped building the Tower of Babel in this city. Babel later on became the city of Babylon, which is prominent in the end times, in Revelations. Now, Babylon is where the last one world government will be. An era where the Antichrist will rule all the world until Christ comes and deposes him, and then we have the reign of Christ forever. So you see, Babel, or Babylon, the start of one world government and the end of one world government. Now, like I've said, what I'm saying here is, one reason that he wanted to scatter people out is, one, as the old motto goes, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. It's not good for one person to have all the authority. Checks and balances are important in our society. Like, look, it is, the people of Israel at a time in Kings and Chronicles, they wanted a king to rule over them. They wanted to be like their neighbors, as they were envious of their neighbors, when their neighbors should have been envious of them, that they didn't have to have a king ruling them at that time. But when we finally get to Chronicles, and Kings, you will see what happens when Israel starts to have kings. And verse 10 through 26 talks about the descendants of Shem all the way to Abram, who later becomes Abraham. And verse 27 through 32 is talking a little bit about Abram and his migration to Canaan. And, well, that's what I have to share for you with this time. Thank you for listening, and amen.